All right, if you guys are ready to mount auxiliary lights to the front of your off-road vehicle so you can light up the night, but you don't want to spend a ton of money, Colight just came out with these Shark X 9-inch auxiliary lights. They have 4 settings. You got your high beam, you got your low beam, you've got your white daytime running light, and your amber daytime running light. And these things are pretty big. I mean, they're about as big as you're going to get on the front of your vehicle. But they've really grown on me. To me, it gives the Jeep a much more aggressive look, kind of like a Dakar rally type of vehicle. And we're going to test them out here and see how they work. But let's check out the details. I love that it's got like a screwless face on it. And what's great too is you can run them either as white or also amber. I do love the look of amber lights going down the road. So let's give you some of the specs on these bad boys. The white high beam is an insane 11,300 lumens. 11,300, compare that to the competition. Low beam is at 6,200, which is still pretty dang stinking bright. Then if you want to run the amber, that looks really cool. And what's neat about these lights is when you power them up, there's like an animation they do. Got a nice low profile, sturdy die-cast aluminum housing with cooling fins all around. And for the lens, you got an impact resistant polycarbonate. So hopefully that holds up to wear and tear. Now for these lights, you're looking at $156 each. But once again, you want to save money like we all do, use my link in the description of this video and knock off some dollars. Now these lights are waterproof and dustproof, but I didn't see a rating anywhere, so if I find that, I'll put it up here on the screen. But these lights have a really nice look, and you all know that when we put lights on our Jeep, we do it partially because it does look cool. So to wire up these lights, you do have to buy an extra wiring harness. It's around $25.99, and it's, what is this thing, 11 foot, 5 inches long, so plenty of lead there. So right here, you got your 2 plugs that go into the lights. You got your wires that go to the battery. This switch right here turns off and on the high beam and low beam, but I'm not sure if we're going to use that. We're going to end up wiring this into the auxiliary switches in the dash of the Jeep Gladiator. And then to run the amber lights, you have these wires here that go into your running lights and your fog lights. We'll figure that all out, and then here's the other plug that goes into the light. Got a couple of relays here. So this is a really nice harness to get you all wired up. All right, guys, that's all the parts to this thing. Let's take the Gladiator to the garage and mount it up. Attaching the monster, what is it, 11,200 lumens, 9-inch Colight Shark X series. There we go. Okay. I always save this for last. Let me get the other one on. Make sure everything's square. And if you want to, I guess you could dangle them out a little bit, but that would just look probably a little weird. Unveil those lenses. Ooh-wee. And then angle this, angle that. All right, guys, here we are in the local mountains. Everything's mounted up. I want your honest opinion. What do you think of this getup? I love these daytime running lights, and I can tell as I'm driving here, people coming the other way, everybody's looking at them and like, damn, those are cool. I really do. I want to know what you guys think. The lights kind of remind me of like a Dakar rally vehicle. You know, I mean, they're bigger than usual, but I think they're pretty sick. As a reminder, you've got 2 DRLs, which is daytime running lights. You've got your 6-watt amber, 6-watt white. You've got your 62-watt low beam and your 113-watt high beam. So my favorite for daytime driving, I love the amber. Here it is right here. And you can see here that it's got what they call a dynamic sequential flow effect. So for the first 5 seconds after you turn them on, they have like this animated light up, which I think is very cool. So when you run these DRLs, there's 0 added visibility. They're really just for looks and so people can see you better. Next up, let's look at the low beam, 62 watt, 6,200 lumens. That's how much you're getting. And that's with the headlights off. So that's how much added light you're getting in addition to the headlights. So let's go to the high beam, 113 watts, 11,300 lumens. Bam. One thing I notice as I'm driving off-road, you see a little bit of vibration in the light. See that? Kind of a flickering. Okay, so while we're driving, let's take a look at these beams. Here's the low beam. Pow, look at that. Before, after, wow. And then here's the high beam. Oh, that is miraculous. Yeah, it's huge improvement. Let's go back to the low beam. It's crazy because the low beam is a lot closer to the high beam than I thought it would be. So there's the low beam. There's the high beam. Obviously there's a difference. Here's your high beam. Look how it lights up that mount in front of me. Without, with it. I mean, what a difference. That is excellent. All right, so wiring up these lights, it's pretty basic. Like I said, they came with a harness that plugs into the main cord coming off the back of the light. You'll see a plug like that right there coming off the harness. So you simply plug the harness into these 2 lights. The harness is a split single into 2 to go to each light. So just plug in the 2 lights. I went ahead and ran the harness underneath the grill, and I came up right through here. There's a nice opening. And at the other end of the harness, you're going to find this on-off switch. These control the high beam and the low beam only. So what you're going to want to do is, you'll see it has a coupling right here. Just cut the wires about 4 inches before this coupling, and then this is not going to be used. Just toss that. Now at the other end that you just cut, the red and the black wire, then you're not going to use these anymore. So the only wires we're going to use is the blue and the white. And what you want to do is you want to connect these 2 wires to 2 of the wires that are down here that control the auxiliary switches inside your Jeep. You'll see 4 wires that there's 2 heavy gauge wires and 2 lighter gauge wires. You're going to want to wire the blue and the white wire to those 2 heavy gauge wires, 1 to one, 1 to the other. Those are auxiliary switch numbers 1 and 2. So that takes care of that part. Now, if you remember earlier when I was showing you these lights, there was also a yellow wire and a white wire individually coming off the back. So because we have 2 lights, I took the 2 yellow wires and I brought them together and twisted them. I took the 2 white wires, brought them together and twisted them. And then I grabbed a separate wire that I had here, a double lead wire. So 2 wires coming out. I split it. I wired one of the wires to the yellow wires, the other wire to the white wires. Then I just ran them down underneath the grill, came up right here. And those 2 wires go to the other 2 wires for the auxiliary switches. They're the smaller gauge wires. Those are numbers 3 and number 4. So here's your 4 auxiliary switches, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So like I said, I got 1 and 2. 1 is high beam, 2 is low beam, 3 is the amber driving light, and 4 is the white driving light. Now you might be saying, why do you have all 4 of your switches tied up to just 2 lights? Well, what I can do eventually is disconnect number 4 because I'm not really going to use the white driving light, and I can disconnect number 2 because I don't really want to use the low beam. I'm just going to want the high beam and the amber auxiliary. So that frees up 2 of the switches. So the auxiliary switches are already live and they'll function, but if you want to adjust their functionality, just go into settings right here. Let me start the motor. So just go into settings. You'll have this menu here. Scroll down to auxiliary switches. And you've got your 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I'll go into here. So what you want to do here is you want this to be set to latching, power source, ignition, and then recalled last state checked also. What that does is whatever light you have turned on when you turn off the motor will turn on automatically. So you can see here, if I turn on number 3, where is it? If I turn on number 3 and I turn off the Jeep, and then I go to turn it back on, number 3 kicks on automatically, which is really nice. And I like to have my auxiliary lights and amber on all the time. So there you go. All right, guys, that does it for this video. You want to get yourself a pair of the Colight Shark X 9-inch lights. Go check them out at the website right here. Don't forget to use my discount code, knock off some money, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.